Tranny guide for your TV. Tonight we're going to be exploring the world of cross-dressers, transvestites and drag queens. Now, with me on this voyage of discovery is the editor of a book thought by many to be the Bible of the cross-dressing world. She runs one of the best-known meeting places for people on the scene, and if that's not enough experience to draw on, she has also performed throughout the world in various shows. Her name is Vicky Lee. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Laura.
Now, what is your book? What's it called, and what's in it? What's it about?
The book's called The Tranny Guide. It's in its 6th edition, coming up very soon. And it's all about the shops, the services and the places to go on the tranny scene. There's listings of these places throughout the world, and it's researched and updated every year. In addition to all the listings, there are articles, pictures and everything to explain to the beginner, the novice, or someone who just wants to know a little bit more about the scene.
Now, how did the book actually start, Vicky?
Well, it started with friends and myself, in particular a friend, Caroline Egerton, who we used to go trannying around to all the clubs. We used to go and visit all the clubs. If there was a club that said it was going to be glamorous and dress up and have fun, we'd go along and check it out. Some were very welcoming, some weren't. We'd meet a lot of other people like ourselves and they'd say, where else have you been, where'd you go, and where'd you get the clothes from? And we thought it would be a really good idea to have all that information down in a book. So we put it together, and now there's a book that people can refer to.
A baby was born. Now, I heard a story that you sold it in your handbags to start with.
That's right. This was our first marketing exercise.
Right, dragging it out of your bag.
Yes, literally, because carrying it around in our handbags, and when those questions arose, where else do you go? Well, you need one of these.
Where can you get it now, though? You can buy it. Where can you buy it now?
The book's now distributed to most sex shops, specialist shops on the tranny scene. Quite a few of the major shops like Tower Records, Virgin Records, and it's mail order as well. Okay.
Now, the company's called the WayOut Publishing Company.
That's
now,
right.
What's the WayOut Club? Well,
run in association with the WayOut Publishing Company is the WayOut Club. And this started when another business partner of mine, Steffan, and I were both performing, and we were both promoting other nightclubs, and we were offered a venue.
Was this a drag act that you did?
We were doing a drag act together, yeah, and we were putting on various shows in the nightclubs that we were promoting. Yeah. When we were given a venue, we talked over what we could do with it, and the natural thing was to provide a tranny night out, because we knew what was missing on the scene, so we tried to provide what we thought would work.
And where have you performed? I mean, what kind of act do you do yourself, and where have you performed it?
I've performed all over the UK, in a number of other countries as well. And the performance that I was doing with Steffan was a mime act, doing impersonations, and then for the last few years I've been singing live, and I've had the pleasure of working with all sorts of wonderful people and all sorts of singers.
Oh, brilliant. So would you actually call yourself a drag queen, then, Vicky?
Well, no, I wouldn't. I'd call myself an in-betweenie.
Oh my goodness.
I fall somewhere between a drag queen and a tranny. I fall somewhere between male and female. I fall somewhere between gay and straight.
Oh, blimey.
So I am truly an in-betweenie.
Yeah, I think the word was invented for you. Really,
I think it was.
Now, we've been seeing all these wonderful pictures of you and your friends. I mean, to my eye, trannies seem more feminine, and sort of archetypally feminine, than many women I know. I mean, it's fantastic. But why is that? Why do they appear more feminine? It's almost sort of the epitome of it. Why do you think that is?
I think one of the things is that if a guy is going to dress up, he's not going to do it very often, so when he does it, he's going to go over the top. And so he's going for the ultimate in the role model, something that women today don't do all the time. I think another reason is the very fact that men are encouraged to study women. They're encouraged to idolise women. They put them on a pedestal as a goddess. But they're not quite so good at studying men, because the average straight guy, if he studies a man, he's very worried that other people are going to think he's homosexual.
Right.
So this is why I think that a lot of straight men don't know how to put their own image together. And it's not surprising that 1 in 10 actually thinks that the best image that you can have is a female one, and they actually go for that.
Is it as high as that? What tip, if you had sort of one sort of main thing to say, one hot tip to pass on to people who want to be part of the scene, not necessarily who are trannies, but who may be trannies, or who are trannies, what's your kind of raison d'etre? What would be your main tip, Vicky?
My main tip is to know what you want, know what you are, who you are, and be comfortable with yourself. There's so many avenues in the tranny scene to follow. You could be someone who dresses up occasionally, or really only wears maybe a pair of stockings or something, even under their trousers when they go to work. It's a little secret, it's a little thrill. They're doing something naughty. There's others that want to create a complete image and have a kind of narcissistic love of themselves as that image. There's a whole range, and the main thing is to find out where you are, look at the options, know what's available, and enjoy it. So
basically you're saying, I mean, the scene is incredibly diverse. It goes from the person at home who tries on his wife's G-string or something and stays at home, and that's fine, and if that's what makes you happy, then do that.
Sure.
To the full Monty, to the full drag queen, the Priscilla Queen of the Desert. Big hair, big shoes, big, you know, big everything.
Plenty of attitude.
But you're saying the main thing is to, whichever aspect you fall into of that whole sort of spectrum, just be yourself and be happy with it. That's your main tip. It's not about eyelashes or something. I thought you were going to tell me what to do with my eyelashes.
Oh, no. And there's a very diverse range, and there's all sorts of names, and people worry about this a lot. There's cross-dressers, there's transvestites, there's transgenderists, transsexuals. In between these.
Yeah, I mean.
And it's to find out what the options are, and then know what you are, enjoy yourself.
So, just how many trannies are there out there, do you think, Vicky?
Statistically, people have done some research and come up with a figure of 1 in 10. I'd say that was 1 in 10 guys like the idea, are entranced by the idea. We have an internet website, and the number of people that dial into that website every day is much, much higher than some of the newspapers that are online. There is a fantastic interest in cross-dressing. It's funny because people presume it's a kind of really secret and small section of the community, but it actually seems to be quite big. High. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here, Vicky. I want to know how you all achieve this incredible look that you all have. I want to know from the bottom to the top. So come on, I know you've brought some gadgets along. So right. It's foundation, clothes, it's shoes, it's makeup, it's wigs. And I have got some things to show you.
Okay, what have we got?
Right, well, for a start off, everybody's in need of a little pushing and pulling to get into shape.
Well, girls as well.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if a guy is actually trying to create a feminine look, then the chances are his waist will be thicker than he wants it to be as a female. He might have hairy legs.
God forbid.
He might not be in a position to shave his legs. So he needs to know how to get the look. And the first thing is probably the corset.
That's beautiful.
I've got some wonderful clothes here lent to me by CoverGirl in Islington. And this is a corset, a lace-up corset with some very strong stays. We're talking major construction here.
This is major construction.
Right, so that's going to pull you in at the waist.
That will keep everybody in. What's next then?
The next...
what other little specialities?
Well, once you've got the waist right, I suppose we've got to lose everything that's down below, because that's not exactly very girly, is it?
Yes, now this is something everyone always likes to know. What do you do with the bits? I'm sorry to ask, but you know, you've got to ask.
It's called tucking. That's the
tucking?
Yes, that's the official...
I thought you said something else then.
No.
Okay.
Tucking. It's kind of similar to what you were thinking about.
Right.
Everything gets pushed back down below, and the spherical bits will often return to whence they came.
Goodness gracious, do you have to go into training for that?
Oh, you do. You have to be skilled at it.
Right. I mean, presumably this is, for, again, like we're saying, I mean, these are the sort of, we're going from the bottom up for people who really want to create the whole look. But any part of this is completely acceptable. Do what you like.
Oh, do what you like. Yeah. You don't have to do any of this.
Come on then, what's this then? Show me this thing you've got here. This looks like an extra contraption.
Well, we're talking, this is a panty girdle, nice firm piece of underwear. I mean, we're not talking flimsy, delicate lingerie here. We're talking about something that's actually going to hold you in. And these have actually got bum pads built in.
Now that I don't understand. Women spend their life trying to get rid of hips, and you want to put them on.
Well, so many guys have got very slim hips. They're straight through. With the bum pads, that gives you some hips and bum.
Those are terrifying. What's next?
Terrifying.
What else?
Right, it's legs.
Legs, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you aren't in a position to shave your legs, and even if you are able to shave your legs, you want to get that showgirl pair of legs. And the secret is dance tights.
Oh, I might start using those.
Yes, dance tights are what the showgirls wear. They're nice and thick.
Right.
And they'll cover up your hairy legs.
Very clever.
Smooth out all the blemishes.
Smooth out all the blemishes.
And you can wear the stockings or the fancy tights over the top, but that will make your legs look good. Right now, there's a product out, as you can see on the packet, and this was invented for trannies because it's got the leg hosiery, which is going to cover the legs, but it's got the panty girdle actually all built on, so it's going to tuck you away and keep you all tidy down below.
Yeah, that would look really good. And, okay, so we've tucked some little spherical objects away, but we've got to create some more spherical objects.
That's
because
right.
You're not born with those, are you?
No, no.
And how do you do? So what do you do for that?
Well, anything spherical will do. I mean, a couple of tennis balls, pair of socks.
I've done the socks. The socks look awful.
You've needed the socks.
Once upon a time. So come on, show me, what have you got? These look hilarious. I want to see these.
Right. This is what everybody loves. They are silicone breast forms. I've got two different types here. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right.
So
now
instead of implants, we've got sort of...
These are outplants.
Yes. Right.
And these are selling to girls now as well. Girls are using them in their bras to boost the size of their breasts.
Yeah.
And the guys want to get a good look. And they also feel very good. These are going to pass the huggy-feely test.
What's the huggy-feely test?
Well, they're not just got to look good, but they've got to actually feel good close up.
Is that important? I mean, half of all this is to feel the part, isn't it?
Well, this is where everybody differs. I mean, some people will be quite happy to slip into something silky and just feel, you know, the cliched silk against my skin kind of thing.
But
others are looking to get the shape and the feel and everything just right.
Well, this feels pretty good, actually. It feels kind of better than the real thing, I imagine, but there we go. And now you've got all that on. Now I know that you're a bit of an Imelda Marcos.
That's right, I am.
And
I do like a pair of shoes.
Tell me about how important those are.
The rest of the outfit can be got together reasonably well, but the chance of a pair of size 10 shoes being available is not quite so easy. And one of the mistakes that many trannies make is that they go out to the sex shops that do sell larger shoes and they buy great big 6-inch heels that can't walk in.
Oh no.
The fact is, if you haven't got the shoes right, as many actors will tell you, you've got to have the shoes to feel the character. And if you're actually going to walk about or actually go out or do anything, you've got to be able to move and feel comfortable.
I mean, so all these you've built all this up. Don't you feel more like a stuffed sofa? I mean, you've got all the...
That's absolutely
you're breathing in there, shoved up there, put on here.
Yeah.
You know, shoes on, height up, a whole lot. I mean, don't you feel more like a stuffed sofa?
It's quite comical when people say, oh, I really feel like a woman. You feel like a stuffed sofa. I'm sorry, you don't feel like a woman at all.
They're lying.
Not to the touch, and you don't feel like it inside. But the fact is that for a lot of people, it's to do with the image. And they want to be able to stand in front of the mirror, and they want to be able to see themselves with the curves, with all the shape and everything all going together. And that's the most important thing. So it really doesn't matter what you feel like, it's what you see in the mirror. A lot of people are very much into taking photographs of themselves, looking as good as possible. And as we've seen on some of the pictures, they look fabulous. They really can look wonderful.
There's another bit, there's the kind of facial aspect of, you've got all the body sorted out. So what about makeup? Because girls, I mean, you know, since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, we've all seen magazines, we've had our mother's lipstick all over our eyes, you know, we've done it all wrong.
Some of us have as well.
Oh my goodness, I never thought of that. So, but, you know, but how do you go about sort of makeup? Because obviously you require heavier makeup than women.
Yeah, you need to learn what kind of, in particular, foundation works for you. And like anybody else, you really need to just study what works. So you've got to look at the pictures in the magazine, look at what other people are wearing and what works in the way of their makeup, and you've got to try and you've got to practice. Now, for guys who are dressing up occasionally, that can be very difficult because you don't have too many occasions to practice. So I do recommend a makeup lesson. It is absolutely brilliant, and there are loads of people out there who will be very, very sympathetic and helpful, and will be able to show you what products to use that work best for you, and how to find the best parts of shapes and shadings that suit you.
But there's one piece we haven't mentioned, isn't there? Which is the most important. That we've gone from the toes, and now what about the top end?
The wig.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, the biggest difference generally between the look that a woman and a man has is the hair. And girls too can look incredibly different when they put on a wig. And you can change your own appearance with just one person wearing lots of different wigs.
Do you think it's what makes the final difference?
Yes, it's the final, the glory.
Well, I know all about this because you sent me off, didn't you? Because you said I'd have loads of fun, and I did actually have loads of fun. And I went off with Vicky's friend Paula to a place called, one of her favourite shops called Hot Hair in Kensington. Okay, we're at Hot Hair, and Kylie's chosen this wig for me. Kylie, why have you chosen this one?
Right, I've chosen this for Laura because it's totally different to her hair. Her hair is medium brown and very curly. So I like to see what a completely different look would do for her.
That's amazing. So you've gone for red and straight.
Something totally different, yeah.
How many wigs have you got, Paul?
9 or 10 at the last count.
And where do you get them from? Where do you buy them?
Any shop like this one where somebody's actually going to take some time and care and work with you.
Yeah. Is it a mistake to just order them in from mail order or something?
It's a big mistake. I've done that. They come through looking like dead dogs, basically.
Oh, God.
Try and breathe life into them, but it just doesn't work. They look awful.
They look awful. And what about styling? Do you actually style the wigs here as well, Kylie?
Yes, we do. I mean, what I normally do, I always suggest that you sort of have a fringe cut, to the shape of your face. Yeah. I mean, with wigs, I say, the sort of rougher you are with them, if you lean forward and just sort of flick them up, I mean, the better they look. If you spend too much time pinning and clipping, it'll fall, you just sort of do it to the shape of your face and just fling them up, same as I've done Paula there, and just create different looks. So you can have a different look with the same wig, just style it differently.
Just style it differently.
Yes.
And how do you look after your wigs?
I put them in the washing machine about mark number 5. And
oh yeah, really? And what's she supposed to do?
Right, you can just use a conditioning gloss on them, which is sort of takes care every day for the fibre. But when you wash them, you just wash them in mild shampoo and stick them in fabric softener. So you've got the bit about the washing machine right there.
You're allowed to do that.
You've got one thing right and one thing right.
Do you get a lot of trannies in here and a lot of men? Or?
Yes, we do, because since we've opened here, we've got private fitting rooms downstairs, and I always suggest that they can come in, do their makeup, be dressed. It'll always give you a better look, and then you can see exactly what type of thing suits you.
Do you find it's better to actually be dressed or wearing what you might want to wear with that wig to make it so that you know? Is that better?
It's essential. You won't know otherwise unless you do that. You won't know. You'll have a vague idea, and that's not really good enough. I don't think.
Okay, so if I buy this, and I don't want to look different every day, and I buy like 50 wigs, isn't that going to be really expensive? And what's the price range for wigs?
Right, something like this now is £90. I mean, they vary from about...
But I look like that.
Exactly. Instead of buying a new outfit, you can buy new hair. Right. So they roughly go from about £75 up to about 110. So.
And you get the same service?
Yes.
You get lovely
all the way
wigs.
through.
Thanks very much, Kylie.
Okay.
Vicky, I absolutely loved that day. I had a brilliant time. I tried on the red wig, which some people think I look hideous in, but I loved it.
I thought you looked great.
Thank you. And I tried on lots of other wigs and sort of thing, and I love the way it makes you change your look. It is really fun. But, I mean, I could wear that clubbing, but I would never wear it in the day, and it feels I felt a bit like I was a drag queen. And, I mean, it must be a very fine line between going over the top or sort of doing a drag queen thing and being a tranny.
That's right, yeah. A tranny wants to pass. She wants to be the girl next door. Drag queen really wants to be noticed. That's the big difference. That's what I was talking about with one of my friends while she was getting made up.
Yes, I heard about this trip, and I think we ought to have a look at it.
Yeah. Steffan Whitfield, my co-host at the WayOut Club and entertainer extraordinaire, has been kind enough to let us see him put his makeup on before his performance here tonight. Steffan, what kind of makeup are you doing here tonight?
Today I'm making up to do a show, also to host, so the makeup has to be strong, but not too strong.
So if you're actually on stage in front of like 3,000 people, being Jerry Spice Girl,
Yeah.
it would be stronger, different?
It would probably be quite a bit stronger, yeah. You'd have to define the eyes a lot more, and everything would have to be bolder, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, drag queens' makeup is a lot stronger anyway than obviously normal women, because you're changing your face from a man to a woman, so you need to highlight all the features and make them bigger than life, you know.
And you've just drawn in your eyebrows, but your own eyebrows are
They're underneath here, covered with plastic now, which opens your eyes.
Can you show us the plastic?
Yeah, this is it. Eyebrow plastic.
And that just rubs into your
You
eyebrows
just melt
and
that,
makes it...
and it's like wax. You put it on, covers them
Right.
all up, saves you shaving them off or plucking them.
I wanted to ask you, do you call yourself a drag queen?
Well, I think all putting makeup on, dressing up is a form of drag, in a way. But even wearing a suit is a form of drag. But personally, I don't call myself a drag queen because I think drag queens, as such, take the mickey out of dressing up as women. They're basically a parody of women. Whereas what I do is try and compliment and impersonate them. So I look at myself more as a female impersonator.
Most of your work has been on the gay cabaret circuit. Are these venues a good place for trannies to visit?
I mean, I do work in a lot of gay venues and a lot of straight venues, so obviously I see both sides of how it is to socialise in those circles, and I guess it would be a lot easier for trannies to socialise in gay clubs, because they would look at you like you were a drag queen, not like you were a freak or you were something different. In a straight environment, people, I think, are more threatened by a man dressing up as a woman and are a lot less accepting. So you would probably get a lot more hassle in a straight club than in a gay club, definitely.
Now you're using a white to give yourself like a white foundation around the eyes.
This is aqua colour, and basically it gets rid of all the bags and the blemishes, and it just highlights the middle of your eye, which brings it out further on stage, makes your eyes look wider.
And at the moment it looks quite bold, but is it going to stay that bold?
And it all gets powdered and blended down to give it a more natural effect.
Your main character has been Marilyn Monroe. Some people say that you're more like Marilyn than Marilyn herself. And more recently you've been doing Jerry Spice in the WayOut Spice Girls. What's the main difference between doing these two different types of impersonation?
Well, I mean, when you're playing different characters, you have to obviously pick out the physical differences, but they are actually very similar in some ways and very different. They're both quite sexy characters. They're both well-bosomed women, as we call it. But then again, they're completely different, because Marilyn is obviously dead, but she is the more glamorous of the two. And when you're portraying Marilyn on stage, you you feel a sense of warmth and love coming from the audience, whereas when you're in the Spice Girls, there are 5 of you on stage, so you feel everyone's screaming and shouting at you, you know, and going mad. Whereas when you're doing Marilyn, people are like looking like gazingly at you and lovingly, which is quite nice. Here we are doing the eyes. I'm just putting my sockets to see. Normally my socket is here. I'm raising it to here, so my whole eye is bigger. This is for stage, obviously. If you wore this in the street, it would look too much. You'd look like a monster, probably. So I'm really creating the whole shape of the eye. For me, I take this line down my nose, just to define the bone of the nose and to thin it slightly. I mean, you can do that for everyday makeup, just as long as you powder over it. It won't be that noticeable. And a lot of black girls do it because they have quite wide noses, so they tend to shade down the sides of their nose to make it look thinner. It gives you that plastic surgery nose look. When I'm doing ginger spice as well, I put a line across here, which gives you a little bubble on the end. I remember recently I took a tube train after one show with a friend in a full face of makeup because it was just the quickest way to get back into town and we were running out of time. And we were getting on the train and there was a little boy getting on the train with his father, and he turned around and said, "Oh, you're so beautiful," you know. And I don't think he realised if he knew whether or not I was a boy or a girl, but it didn't seem that he cared, you know. When you're larger than life, people will actually treat you larger than life, and they find that they want to know you because you are larger than life, which in a way is a bit of a misconception, because normally, you know, you're pretty normal, you have your own, you know, family, you have dogs and all that, but people treat you like you're something different, you know, something special. And I
have to live up to your makeup.
You do. You have to live up to it, and if you don't have the personality to go with it, I think most people find the personality while they're putting on their makeup. You know, they become somebody else, and that's the best thing about makeup, is that you can become anyone you want to. You know, I do all the time, from Marilyn Monroe to Madonna to Liza Minnelli to Jerry Spice. You know, you can be anyone you want, and that's not just being a girl, you can be a boy as well. You know, sometimes when I'm a boy I go out with a black wig on or a blonde wig on, depending on how I feel, because I'm sick of, you know, people treating me a certain way. When you're a blonde boy, you actually get treated like a bimbo, believe me. Alright, I'm just powdering down, which is very good for your face because it keeps the circulation in your face going, which you'll find helps keep you younger because you're exfoliating all the time, and your face needs circulating.
So how did you learn all these makeup techniques?
Trial and error, really. I think because I've been doing makeup for such a long time, as a boy and as a girl, you try things until you're happy with them. And
When
see
did you
what
start
suits
making
you.
up then?
When I was 6, when I was in pantomimes and theatre shows. They taught you to do your own makeup, and they would actually give you a drawing, a flat drawing of this colour here, this colour there, and you just have to learn to do it. You know, they'd show you the first couple of times, but then you'd have to learn to do it yourself. The first time I did woman's makeup, I actually did it in black and white.
In black and white?
Yeah.
Only using black and white powders?
Yeah, just to see which structures I could change and what, you know, to get the best results.
You recreate all sorts of characters with all sorts of images. Where do you actually get your clothes?
Well, I think the first thing anyone has to do is research what they're doing whether you're doing characters like I do for Marilyn Monroe, or whether you just want to create yourself into a woman. I do buy some of my dresses and costumes, but most of them are made for me by different costume designers.
And if you were going to a function where you were going to be hosting, would you wear a stage costume, or have you got outfits which you would prefer for that kind of occasion?
It depends on what I was invited to a place to do. I mean, I have been invited to host things as Marilyn Monroe before, so I tend to wear something that she would wear, obviously, but if they just want me to go dressed outrageously, then I would probably wear one of my big show costumes.
Trannies often say that they want to pass as a girl. Do you ever try and pass as a girl?
No. I mean, it's really strange because, you know, even when you wear this much makeup, people think you're a woman because they look at you, you look like you've got breasts, you've got a great figure, whatever, you know, you've got fabulous hair, it's a wig. But still, they'll come up to you and they'll think you're a woman. And I don't think that people should worry that much about it. I think passing is, if I wanted to pass, you know, it would have to be a lot more drastic. You would have to shave your eyebrows off because boys have different eyebrows to girls. You have a completely different structure naturally to a woman, and to change it just by a little bit of makeup is practically impossible unless you have a very, very feminine face. I myself have quite a rounded face, which helps a lot when you do makeup. If your features are too strong, if you have a big nose or a long chin, then it's more difficult to pass as a woman. But I wouldn't worry about passing as a woman. I think that however good any drag queen is, that people always know.
So is this the final touch now, lips?
Almost. Well, for the face, I guess. It depends on what I'm doing, but lips are probably one of the most important parts of the face, and depending on what character I'm doing, I change the shape of them. I can make them more square, more fuller for Marilyn. And I think that a good tip for women is don't be afraid to draw above or around your own lip line, because I mean, my lips are an average size, but normally when I'm dressed, they look a lot bigger than they are. And no one ever says, oh my God, your lips are halfway down your chin or anything, because they don't see how it's done. And basically you start by using a dark pencil to line them. You wouldn't use a brown one for natural makeup, but this is for stage, so it gets blended in. Once you have the outline, you then have to fill it in. Then use a brush when you do your lips. And just paint straight over the line you've drawn. And you see that's changed the shape of my lips completely, from the average size to a much bigger mouth. And when you're on stage, people don't see where your own lips are. Or even in a club situation, they just see the shape of your mouth. Let's see how we look with some hair, shall we? Okay. Now, I normally go blonde because I prefer being blonde, but and this is very blonde. I call this my Pamela Anderson look.
Have you got any tips about buying wigs and styling wigs?
Always get a professional hairdresser to do your hair. Do not try and cut a wig yourself. Do never put your wigs in washing machines, because it doesn't work. And you'll find that if you get a professional hairdresser to cut the wig into your face, it will suit you a lot better. You'll feel more confident in it. This is my Pamela Anderson look, and I think she'll do for tonight.
You look absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
All I need now is a red swimsuit.
Well, Vicky, I obviously need a lot of makeup tips from you too. You're both very relaxed, and I know you're experienced trannies, but surely for some people it's very difficult to come to terms with.
Yes, it can be very difficult to come to terms with. It takes time. But you've got to remember that it's very difficult to live a life that isn't your own life, a life that someone else has put together for you.
That's true. What about the $64 million question, which everybody wants to ask? Despite role models that we all know about, Lily Savage, Dame Edna, people don't know a lot about trannies. And everyone wants to know, why do they do what they do?
Well, there's probably 100 reasons, and the video is probably far too short to explore all the reasons. I think it's important to remember that no particular reason is going to be the only reason. A tranny is going to have lots of different reasons, and at different parts of their life there'll be different reasons for doing what they do. The reasons are, it's a stress buster.
Right.
The reasons are, we idolise women. We want to be like them, we don't want to just idolise them. There's loads and loads of reasons.
So basically it's an individual thing, you're saying. But is there a common pattern of experience?
Yes, after listening to so many stories, I think that there's a very definite pattern. I call it the tranny journey, and I liken it to a ladder. Now, this ladder is not a ladder you have to climb to the top. Sometimes when you're halfway up the ladder, you might come back down again. But there is definitely steps that everybody seems to travel through.
So will you talk me through it? What's at the beginning of the ladder for the common tranny story? Go ahead.
The first rung of the ladder is childhood. And let's face it, every grandmother says to every baby, look, there's mummy, there's daddy, look, you've got daddy's nose, mummy's nose.
Yeah.
And the first words that a child's likely to come out with are mama and dada. So role models are being taught from the first words. And by the age of maybe as little as 3, 4, a child's beginning to know that it's not done that you do the thing that is for the other role model.
So what the tranny child feeling at this stage, that he wants to be wearing the dresses that his sister's wearing, or already?
He just does what comes natural.
Right.
But already he's beginning to realise that certain things aren't done because our society says, that's sissy. Oh, boys don't do that. The sort of presents that they're given, etc.
Yeah, dolls and Action Man. Right?
Yeah. And at the youngest of age, they already know not to show those feelings, to be just a bit defensive about being too girly.
Now, puberty is a difficult time for any of us, but what happens to the tranny child during puberty?
Oh, this is a nightmare time. For a start off, the body starts losing the leftovers of its femininity. It's beginning to get hairy in all the places you don't want hair, and the body starts getting more muscular. And at the same time, the tranny child's beginning to lose what they feel is the best
Of
image.
Yes.
Then all of the girls around them are beginning to blossom. Breasts are beginning to develop. They're beginning to play with makeup. They're being encouraged to be girly. And at this point, it's very, very difficult for a tranny boy because he just mourns the loss of what he had and what he's going into.
And then, I mean, traditionally we'll go on to sort of careers and family and sort of that section of life. What happens then?
I call this area the pressure pot.
Right.
Because we all, to a certain extent, are in a pressure pot at that point. We're trying to make our careers work, we're trying to explore things and do things, trying to find ourselves. But at the same time, there's always this nagging interest, desire to express yourself and your feminine side.
Being suppressed throughout this period, presumably.
Typically, I mean, most trannies are heterosexual. They will go along with all the stereotype roles, trying to fit in without telling anybody what their feelings are.
Right.
And so they go into a relationship, maybe they have children, they're trying, they build their career, etc. They don't express their feminine side in what they do. In fact, they're probably joining the territorial army and doing sports and
Being very
proving
macho.
how macho they are. I mean, it's surprising the number of trannies that have got tattoos all over themselves, where they're trying to say to the whole world, I'm not, I'm
And
not a
themselves,
tranny.
presumably.
Yes, they're not allowed themselves, they're not come out to themselves.
So, I mean, you say this is a pressure pot. How do they vent that? It sounds like it could potentially be sort of a dangerous situation. How do they vent those feelings?
I think these feelings, whether they know it or not, build up stress. I mean, they're feeling maybe depressions, fits of rage. A kind of typical situation might be the partner and the tranny are getting ready to go out for an evening. She's doing all the stuff with the hair and the makeup and the clothes and all the rest of it. And he wants to be doing the same things, and he can't express himself or do anything about that.
Yeah.
And he can boil over. And I do believe that some of the abuse that's in homes is because the tranny cannot express themselves. I'm not saying that all trannies are wife beaters, but the stress can lead to that kind of
Could be
boiling
dangerous in
over.
that way. So, where do they vent it at this stage? Surely the feminine must be coming out somewhere. Are they dressing up in knickers when wife goes out, or?
Well, the first thing is that they're going to be noticing differences between male and female all the time.
Right.
That's one of the things old trannies tend to do, is they're spotting all the time the difference between male and female. They're interested in picking up on things that are happening on television, in magazines, and they're putting ideas and stuff together in their head. They're probably dressing up a little bit using whatever they can find or what's around. They might have bought a few little bits and pieces and tried a few things out. But it's very much in the closet and it's very hidden away.
And what about the internet? That must be a good place to find others
That's
like you.
right. Now, I mean, most people know that if they put in a word into a search and they want to know everything about astrology, then they can find out everything about astrology. Put in the word transvestite and they'll find themselves linked to lots of different sites that have got personal experiences of people at all different stages of cross-dressing. There's never been so much information. And for those that know how to find it, yes, it's a wonderful, and you could be talking one-to-one across email with people who have those experiences.
It's almost like a sort of halfway kind of house.
Yeah.
But surely you want to come out, and the temptation at this point must be to tell family and friends, or at least somebody.
Of course.
What do you say to people who want to do that? Is that a good idea?
Well, I mean, if we have problems, if we have illnesses, we have worries, we normally talk to friends and family, or maybe a friend at work. This is the worst people to talk to in this instance, because they know you and they expect you, they want you to be the person that they think you are. So to come out to them and blurt out your feelings halfway through some agony program and say, oh, that's how I feel,
could come out
be
wrong.
a big shock.
It must be so lonely at this point. You must want to, if you don't tell your family and friends, which perhaps isn't the right time, you must want to share it with somebody. Where's a good place to go?
Yes, you want someone to hold your hand, someone to say it's okay, someone to be in the same room with you and see you and accept you as the whole person that you perceive yourself to be. On the scene, once you've found that it's out there, people will find that there are dressing services, and this can be a good start.
It is. Dressing service is a good idea, and you can find those in sort of back of magazines or in your guide or whatever, so you can buy those quite quietly.
Strange places like the Exchange and Mart.
Oh my goodness. Well, Vicky and I went along to a dressing service. It's Linda's in the Docklands area of London, and we've got a clip of our trip there now.
Vicky, what exactly is a dressing service for? If I saw the advert, I wouldn't in a newspaper. What is a dressing service?
For a tranny, the dressing service is a safe place. It's the place where maybe for the very first time they can dress and dress with someone, if that's what they want to do, get some advice, get some help, and be with someone. Someone will see them dressed.
Okay, so maybe for the first time. So it's somewhere you can go and try on clothes of all sorts of different types and get made up or do whatever you like.
Yes, we've got a dressing service here that's got all sorts of clothes. You can try anything on.
Okay, great. And you're going to leave me with it, aren't you?
Yes, you can leave it right now.
Okay. Hi, Linda. Hi, I'm Laura. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And now, I don't know anything about dressing services, so
Well, you better come in and find out.
okay.
Well, come on in.
So, Linda, what happens first? I come in, and what happens?
Well, I'd like to show you around my house.
Right.
The reason being is it
just drops all your barriers and whatever.
Okay. And so you show people around and where they can go and get to know
That's right.
them.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 levels in this.
Okay.
One is people who come to me and they've done it before.
Yeah.
Others who haven't. So you have to find out where they're going, what they
Yeah.
want to do, and then we go for it.
Okay. So what exact services do you offer? I know you've got
I
across
do
different range.
3 different dressing services. One is from 10 till 1,
Mhm.
1 till 6, or 6 till 9.
Okay.
The early one in the morning is people who come in and want to be completely on their own.
Oh, so you can be on your
Yeah,
own. Great. Okay.
And then I do an afternoon where they can meet other people,
Mm-hmm.
and evenings. And then I can do this mega one, which is 24 hours as a woman.
So basically, I can come in, I can have you help me get dressed, I can not have you help me get dressed, I can put my own makeup on, I can have you put makeup on, I can stay the night, I can meet Chinese or not meet Chinese and be on my own or not.
Gosh, this is
Good, it's great.
complicated.
So I can do all that, but and you've put me at my ease, and you've made the whole the whole thing all relaxed. Show me where the loo is. Now what happens?
Now you come to Aladdin's cave. Follow me.
Okay.
Come on out.
Lynn, it seems to be really important that you get people to relax and trust in you. You take a lot of time to get to know them. Why is it important?
Well, it's very important for them. It's their special day, and they've been building up to it. So the more you know, the more they can have, the better it is for them.
The better day they can have.
Absolutely.
So if they trust you, you can definitely help them find the right clothes,
Yeah.
the right outfit, the right makeup, the right.
Yeah,
everything.
they've got to get it right.
Yeah. Would it be a good tip to say that when they phone to make an appointment, that they have a good chat with you about what they actually want?
Absolutely, very important.
Yeah.
The best that it's going to be is the more they know, or more I know about them, that we can make
The
it
better.
work.
Come on, let's look at these clothes. Lynn, wow. I mean, look at all this stuff. So you come in here with the client,
That's it.
and then what happens?
Well, then I talk you through it,
Mhm.
because I think, as you say, wow, you see that and you're completely mesmerised by it. You think, now where do I start?
Yeah.
So the best thing is to do is follow me down onto this box,
Okay.
and I say the best thing to do is show me what pair of knickers you want to do.
What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me if they're going to be a tot or they're going to be a virgin.
Okay. So
And we go from there. So
and
I
what
do,
have you got? Show me some of the things. What
well,
have you got?
we go from that all the way around, and corsetry is very important.
Oh, yes, the understuff.
That's
all
right.
Because Vicky was
As I
explaining to
say,
me.
you wear something special underneath and you'll always feel good on top.
Right.
So that is an original, a
it's
real
beautiful.
French corset,
Look
which
at
is
that.
absolutely great. Then we go from there, you can do skirts which marry up onto tops.
Yeah.
You go in the black little, every girl has to have a little black number.
Of course.
And then it's just up to colour, which is great.
Okay.
The naughty numbers.
Good.
That's, the maid, the school.
What about personal services? Do you ever get asked?
I don't. I get all the time. That's where the phone call comes in so necessarily.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't do personal service. I'll go as far as this and as far as that, but
Right.
that's where it ends. But they can come and be a maid for a day,
Okay.
a schoolgirl,
And all those things.
all those sort of things. Leather, PVC.
And you've got
rubber.
lots of different sizes. Tell me about.
Yeah.
You did have one problem. You told me.
Shoes are my worst.
Okay.
They're from a 3, which I've got a little Chinese person,
Yeah.
right up to a supposedly 12, but I have had a 14 in my time.
Yeah. Another too.
What a nightmare. What a nightmare. He actually didn't get to weigh out that night. He went as him, which was a very, very sad occasion. But he still comes back, so I couldn't have been that bad.
That's okay. If you've got any sort of special things like size 14, is it worthwhile?
I think it's best to talk about it on the phone
Yeah.
before they get here, because that really was quite embarrassing when you have that at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night, and there's not a shop open in the world that's going to even make you a pair of shoes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've chosen a few outfits.
Yeah.
You've put them on. You've helped them get them on. Now what happens?
Then I make sure that that's their special outfit,
Mhm.
and then I say, let's go for it, and that is the makeup.
And what do you do with the makeover?
Well, there's various things, but if they want to learn and obviously go on to the next stage, which would be doing it themselves, is to do a half-half makeup. You make over half of the face and say, come on, you match it up and see if you can do as good as I have.
And do you have to bring your own makeup?
No, it's all here.
It's all here. What about taking it off again?
That's very special because everybody panics that they're not going to go home the same way as they came in. So I take them up to the bathroom, which they've seen when they came into
Yes.
my house, and they know that it's all there waiting for them.
Okay.
So taking it off is just as special as putting it on.
Okay. And they know they're confident about
That's
being
right.
able
They
to
go home as they arrived.
What about photographs? Because you've picked a few outfits. You
Yeah,
have
they do.
Well, you've
A
got
lot of
everything
them-
to choose from here. So
So they've picked a few outfits, maybe tried a few different wigs and a few outfits. Can you have photographs done? What they do is, you know, the old story, oh my God, don't let my wife even know.
Yeah.
So I say, well, the best thing to do is, I've got a camera, but don't take it on mine. Bring me a Polaroid 600, and you can have 10 outfits, every photo different.
Great.
And take it away with you. So I've got no negatives, but they've got the memory of the day.
That's a good idea, no negatives. Okay, so I've got outfits on.
Right.
I've had a great time here. And then, what are my options? Where can I...
Your options are either you come and tell me all your problems.
Right.
and your
Agony Aunt Lynn. Right.
There you go. Have a couple of drinks. There's 2 lounges. One is with me, with videos, mags, and we have chats and show them what other people have achieved. Or you can sit on your own and really get into your own little world and do your own fantasy
Oh, you will
trip.
escort people out on the longer one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. On my 24-hour service,
Mm-hmm.
I will take them out to a club.
Great.
By that stage, it's got to be really together. They've got to look the part. They've got to know they've got the confidence. Because it's going to be other people.
Yeah, exactly.
And they go and party.
So it's a good build-up, basically. You can come here as
It's
a
a
first
learning.
time, and you can spend time on your own. Then maybe you chat to you. Then
Right.
you meet other Chinese, and then maybe you'll be ready to go out.
Yeah.
So you could use it like a learning
It's
curve.
absolutely like that ladder.
Vicky, Linda's is obviously very relaxed, very supportive. She's a lovely lady. And that would be a great place to go the first time if that was your next step on the ladder. But how can you guarantee that they're going to be like that?
Yeah, that's right. You mustn't run away with the idea that all services are the same. And the trannies are all different too. Some of them want slightly different facilities. For example, if someone hasn't got any clothes at all and they want to dress up and then undress and no sign of anything that they've done, they'll need things like showers and makeup remover and stuff like that. Now, the only way to do it is once you know of a dressing service is to have a good, long, honest chat on the phone with them. Right. Once you've discovered, you know, this is me, this is what I want to do, can you provide that? And you've got some kind of rapport with the person on the phone, you know roughly what they're going to be like with you. And certainly some of the dressing services are more geared up to provide slightly more personal services.
Yes.
And it needs to be established on the phone whether that's what you're looking for, and to know that that's not going to be pushed on you.
Yes, just sort of honesty and clarity. And
total honesty, just very straightforward. Don't be too shy. These people are there to help, and they're to help all different types of people, and you're one type of person, just explain what you need.
So presumably people who've been out for years as well. You go back later, you know, for years later.
Lots of people become quite regular and can go, you know, month after month, year after year.
Well, we've heard about dressing services and coming out to people, to a few people at a time. But what about the next stage? Perhaps coming out to family and friends, or just mixing with other trannies? We went to talk to 3 people about the next part of the tranny journey. We're here in Bristol with Ali, who's been a cross-dresser for 5 years, her partner of 6 years, Sue, and Sarah, who's only recently come out on the scene. Ali, Vicky's been guiding me through what she calls the tranny journey. And how much of that and what parts of it do you recognise?
Oh, quite a lot really. I mean, particularly when I was very, very young, very small, I can remember this desperate yearning to cross-dress, or there were these feelings of, you know, well, I shouldn't really be feeling like this. And then again, when I was older, that feeling of desperately wanted to come out, and reaching that point where you just feel you can't run away from it anymore.
And was it about sort of late 20s, like Vicky's been telling me?
Yes, about 27 it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've told Sue, why did you make the decision that you had to share it?
Well, prior to Sue, I'd been in a rather fruitless marriage. My wife didn't know anything about my cross-dressing at that time. And it was when I broke up from my first partner that I reached this point where I couldn't run away from it any longer. And I felt if I was going to go into a new relationship, it had to be honest, with honesty, as myself, Sue knowing everything about
How did you tell Sue?
Well, I dropped a few subtle hints, didn't I?
Not so subtle, actually.
Well, I did. I mean, I think she kindly worked it out for herself at the end.
Right.
It was after about a month, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's little things like, I bet it feels lovely to wear a pair of tights, and I bet it feels really nice to wear that skirt in the wind and all that.
Dead giveaway.
Something's going on, yeah.
How did you feel, Sue?
I don't honestly know that I particularly had any feelings. It was something that he obviously wanted to try, so it was a case of, well, if you want to try it, then I'm a great believer in try anything once.
Right.
You know, eventually, when he'd been doing it for a while, and sort of said, well, you know, this really is a part of me.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I love you anyway. So it doesn't matter what you do or what you don't do. You know, I love the person that you are.
So you've been through it together, really, and that's part of your lives now. Really.
Yes.
Vicky, is that normal way of is that a good way to approach it? How Ali did, sort of gently leaking it.
Yeah, I think that is a really good idea. If you can be comfortable reading women's magazines, looking at clothes together in magazines, if you can maybe go to a beautician's and have some waxing done, or you know, use aftershaves, share perfumes and aftershaves. Don't hide the masculine, show the feminine, and then if you do come out and say, actually I'm a cross-dresser, it's not such a big surprise, it's not so dishonest.
Sarah, how did you go about finding out about the tranny scene and where to socialise and who to talk to?
Well, I'd just been through a period of 2 years of not dressing, and I was surfing the internet every night.
Surf babe.
Yeah, and basically through talking to people on the internet and looking at various different internet sites, I found the whole scene.
So what sort of things did you find on the internet? Has it got lots of information?
Oh yeah, I mean, I found information ranging from makeup tips right through to where to go, clubs, pubs, and generally just useful information that me as a tranny just found fascinating and interesting.
Yeah. And did it help you make the sort of step to want to go out? You thought, oh, there's all these people who do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was originally, I knew there was a tranny scene, but I had no idea how big it was.
Right.
And it wasn't until I looked on the internet that I realised how huge it was. And I think that's really what prompted me to, of coming out. That's what made me come out, really.
I understand that you recently came out to close friends and family. How did you do it? How did you go about telling them?
Well, I found it incredibly difficult telling people. I mean, especially the first person, that was very difficult, probably the hardest thing I've ever done. But everyone has been great about it, and when I told my mother, she said, well, if you'd said you'd been gay, I would have known what it was all about. But being a tranny, it's a little different. After I told my mother, the first thing she said to me was, she'll always love me, no matter what. So I've had a very positive response. And that just took a huge load off my back, it really did. So I've had a positive response all round, really. So.
It's been a relief, really.
Yeah.
So Sue, how do you live with Ali? Is there 3 people in this marriage? This is what I want to know.
Basically, yes.
And who do you prefer? I mean, do you sometimes feel that you want to see more of one or the other?
Yeah, it's swings and roundabouts, really. It depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes it's nice to talk to a girlfriend about things. So Ali is that girlfriend, but I can slag Adrian off at the same time and he hears every word of it.
Very cunning.
Oh yeah.
It has its advantages. And what about sort of, you said earlier about sometimes you want to see more of Adrian, but Adrian wants to be Ali because he's been away working or whatever, and that, have you made compromises in
Yeah, I think it's the same as any relationship. You've got to make compromises all the way through. Sometimes I give in and say, okay, I don't really want Ali tonight, but you go and get her. Other times Adrian says, well, okay, you really don't want me to, so I shan't.
Right.
So it's swings and roundabouts, like I said.
And so you don't just socialise as Ali, you actually are in your house as Ali as well.
Oh, sometimes,
yeah. And you've got a little boy, haven't you?
That's right.
He's gorgeous, as he pictures of him. And just how you're going to be completely open about that from the word go. How old is he?
I mean, he's 1 year old. Before he was born, Sue and I did an awful lot of soul searching, and we decided there's one thing that children cannot handle is lies and deceit. They can't handle anything else.
Yeah.
And so we decided that the honesty approach would be the best for Jonathan. If he does start to ask questions when he's older, which he undoubtedly will, we will answer him as honestly as we can.
And Jonathan reacts well to Ali and Adrian.
Yeah, he's not too keen on Ali's long hair because Adrian hasn't got much. So it's like, hang on, that's my daddy's voice, but what's that hair?
Oh, so he's a kind of judge of your wigs already. Oh my God. That's a bit scary. Ali, do people treat you differently when you're socialising as a tranny, or even shopping, for that matter?
Oh yes, most definitely. I find, in general, people are a lot more courteous, except when you're trying to get a drink at the bar, then you're pushed right to the back.
Yeah, now you know how we feel, yeah.
So I know exactly how you feel. But also the other thing that struck me is you're like a magnet. People just want to know you and come and sit by you and ask you questions like what it's all about. It's brilliant.
And is that very different from Adrian?
Oh yes, yeah.
Does he not attract any attention?
Not really, no. I think he sort of,
He doesn't think so.
Minds his own business.
But he probably does.
Oh, yes.
How about for you two? How do other women relate to you in that situation when you're obviously a couple and you know it's all kind of gets all very confusing?
It depends. Straight women aren't too bad. It's sort of, okay, so you're with this guy, you know, I don't know if I could do it, but good on you.
Right.
Lesbian women tend to say, well, if you're interested in him when he's got a skirt on, why aren't you interested in me?
Right.
And I try and explain to them that, you know, he's a man, that's my thing,
Yeah.
and I like him as a whole person no matter what he's wearing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately they're going to lose out.
Yes, okay. But what about sort of, are women more gossipy with you? Because I've spent lots of time with Vicky now, for instance, and we go into change rooms and things, and I completely forget. And I mean, I don't mind myself, but there's, you know, there's me stripping off like I would with a girlfriend, and I forget that actually, no, hang on, there's other bits going on here. And does that sort of, do women relate to you differently, sort of in an everyday way?
Yes. I mean, I find women will sit down and chat to me about all sorts of intimate things. I had a funny experience we had with your mother, wasn't it? She came here one night, we were chatting to me on the landing. She went in, sat on the toilet and everything like that, chatted to me, and all of a sudden realised what she was doing. But they tried to be the gentleman.
Sarah, what about you? Do you find that people are reacting very differently to Sarah than they did to Patrick?
Oh, very much so. When I go out to a club, people are more courteous to me, and again, people want to talk to me a lot more than Patrick.
Is that part of being a tranny? Is that part of the attraction in this, for your case at the moment?
Well, it's something I've discovered along the way, really.
Right.
Because initially, when I was a closet TV, I didn't know it was going to be like that. And it's just something I've discovered along the way, and I love it.
If there was a cure to take away your desire to tranny, would you take it, Ali?
No, definitely not. No.
Why not?
Well, I've never seen my cross-dressing as something to be cured. You know, it's a bit like years ago, left-handedness used to be seen as something to be cured. But not anymore now. But having said that, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I would have jumped at the chance of a cure.
Because it was such a difficult time?
It was, yes. I mean, I didn't know who I was, and it was all a guilt thing.
What about you, Sue? Would you make Ali, would you force feed it?
No, I love Ali Adrian for the person he is. So I wouldn't want him to not be a tranny, but if they said there's a pill available that could stop him going through all the heartache and the real soul searching that he had to go through when he first came out, I'd willingly give that to him.
I'm going to ask you a question, Vicky. What about you now? Would you take it?
No way.
You have too much fun, though.
I've worked on myself and I've balanced the male and the female, and I'm very, very happy the way I am now. And I think most of the people in my life around me are, and the opportunities keep on flowing from Vicky Lee, so I can't stop.
You can't stop. What about you, Sarah? Would you take this magic pill?
Absolutely not, no. I mean, I've discovered myself now, but I think when I was 14 or 15, when I was going through a really confusing stage and I was really confused, I would have definitely taken it, because then I thought, oh, there's something wrong with me, I'm strange, I'm odd. But now I know exactly where I am and where I'm heading. And I'm happy with myself.
So all those inventors can stop trying to come up with something, because these guys just all want to stay the same. Thanks very much, you've all been great. So we've reached a stage on the tranny journey where you're confident to go out, you're starting to dress quite a lot, perhaps you've told family and friends, or perhaps you haven't. But where now? Clubbing, apparently. Vicky, I felt really comfortable in that club and was struck much more than by when you're in normal clubs by the diversity of people, young and old, gay and straight. But that must be, I mean, how daunting is that when you start coming onto the scene?
It can be a minefield.
Yeah.
I mean, for a start off, many of the places that trannies are welcome at are gay venues.
Right.
And so for a heterosexual tranny to step across the threshold of a gay venue, they have to put all the bigotry that they can quite equally have, despite the fact that they're a tranny.
Yeah.
And knowing how people in that kind of venue are going to react. This was a very mixed venue, as you say.
Yes.
But they know that, and they could see that there are drag queens and that there are gay people, lesbian people, because it is that melting pot.
Now, this is a subject that I've been dying to get onto the whole time. You know this. Sex for trannies. I mean, it's got to be one of the most top interesting topics. And I noticed in the club, you know, let's face it, clubs, we all go and pick up people in clubs. I saw lots of different types of people talking to each other. It must be terrifying. And there was a tranny and a tranny. Now, what's going on there?
Yeah, they were sitting there talking to each other. Right. Now, what were they doing? They could have been talking about football. They could have been talking about makeup tips. Yeah. They could have been talking about where they're going for their holidays. But let's face it, a tranny, if they're, say, a heterosexual tranny, then they are turned on by women.
Yes.
And there, sitting opposite them, is someone that they're talking to who looks like
a woman.
Their idol, a woman.
Yeah.
And what's more, they're also full of all the fantasies that go with trannying, and this is the fantasy, and it's real, and they're doing it as well. Yes, it can be a very big turn on, but in practice, I would say that most trannies, after an experience like that, would not be going home or doing anything with the tranny.
Right.
They're much more likely to be going home feeling very excited, very turned on, and maybe a solo experience occurs. Who knows?
Who knows? But, I mean, the dictionary definition of a transvestite is someone that gets sexually excited by wearing women's clothing.
Yeah.
And through the course of this video, we've discovered it's nowhere near as simple as that.
It's not that simple, no.
But there must be that element when you're in that environment.
Yes, that's right. I mean, from almost a fetishistic basis, yes, putting on some women's clothes could make someone feel very sexually aroused. But once we get to the point where they're going out clubbing and they're meeting, they're dancing with each other, then you've got different arousals, different signals going on.
I also saw lots of blokes talking to trannies.
Yeah.
Now, some of it was quite flirty, some of it wasn't, as mates, but what's going on there? There must be, there's 100 possibilities I could think
there's
of.
lots of possibilities. I mean, it could be that the guy is looking for a tranny girlfriend.
Right.
And the girl could be thinking, I'm a girl for the night.
Yeah.
And however heterosexual they are, they might have accepted a drink. They might just be following through the natural instincts of the role model that they admire.
So playing a role almost.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But what happens, let's say they're both gay, and there's a gay man trying to pick up, here we go, a gay man who's a tranny as well, because some trannies are gay.
That's quite
or is that more
rare,
likely to be a drag queen?
It's a rare instance, because like a gay man is more likely to want to pick up a man,
right.
And a gay tranny or a drag queen is actually more likely to want to pick up a straight man.
Oh,
a straight man.
Right, okay.
So it does all get very confusing.
So it could be any of those. What about, I mean, I also saw, what about a girl and a tranny?
Well, obviously, a lot of trannies would have a kind of fantasy that, you know, this is a lesbian situation. And because they really, really love women, the idea of having a woman that would love them and maybe make love with them and treat them like a woman would be a big, big fantasy.
And I suppose for a girl, if she wasn't a lesbian, but wanted to get more in touch with the sort of female side of a man, she can pretend she's with a girl, but isn't. You know, he is a bloke.
Yes.
It's a chick with a dick.
You've got all those role plays.
Yeah.
And yes, you've got the fact that a tranny is likely to have a dick.
Yes.
So you've got the situation where a straight man who has this kind of fantasy of, well, I'd like to try this and I'd like to touch that, but I wouldn't do it with a man, but to do it with someone who looks like a woman but has got that little extra,
right,
makes it a slight possibility. It is a total minefield.
What about transsexuals? You mentioned, you know, it's most trannies, but transsexuals is a different kettle of fish.
At many of the clubs, trannies will meet transsexuals, and this is like looking at the top of the ladder, and you start thinking to yourself, well, you know, is that where I go to next?
Yes.
Most transsexuals don't come through the tranny route.
Right.
They know from very early on
That they don't want to
that
be.
they want to
man.
be a woman. They should be a woman.
Right.
It's a completely different experience for most.
But then you will find them at those kind of clubs. So it sounds to me like honesty is the best policy, because otherwise you're going to be caught out in when you get home and fumble about, you could get into all sorts of trouble.
Well, even in the straightest of clubs, in the most normal of environments, people can get off together, get home together, and realise that they're not into the same things at all.
No.
The tranny scene is much more of a minefield, and the rule has got to be talk
Yes.
and at least explore the possibilities of what you might be going on to and what you're expecting.
You must, I'm just thinking of kind of the vulnerable stage of a young tranny, like we're saying, going through the ladder and then starting to clubbing. It must be such a relief to be out and to be enjoying yourself and mixing with other trannies. Is there a danger that they cross reality with fantasy and could get into really, am I gay? What? It must get very confusing at that stage. And
Yes.
what would be your advice to,
Well, you've got to keep your feet on the ground, and you've got to remember, even though it's very easy to just slip into a whole fantasy thought in your head, you've got to keep your feet on the ground and say, I am this, I've got to do that tomorrow, and the world is full of nasty diseases now.
Yeah.
So you really firmly got to understand, what you're going to do.
Yes.
May need precautions. You've got to understand what is safe and what is not safe.
Yeah.
When you're looking around the scene and you're seeing transsexuals who are very happy with themselves, you need to understand that they've been through almost always lots and lots of traumas and lots of life experiences to get where they are. And I think it needs to be remembered that that's not like a cure to cross-dressing.
Right.
I often hear the story of how a wife has found out that a husband is a tranny.
Yeah.
And then to try and justify to himself where he stands and why he's doing what he's doing, he says to himself, well, look, I've been found out.
I'll take it the next step.
I must take the next stage. I've got to be a woman, and then it's all legitimate. And they've met transsexuals at the clubs. They've seen that part of the rainbow of roles that can be lived in life.
Yes.
But you don't have to go that far.
No, you get, like you said at the very beginning of this tranny journey, you've got to be where you are on the ladder, and it's okay. It must be a massive temptation, the relief, as I said, to go a bit mad. So just be careful at that point and relax. So is that it for a tranny? Just going clubbing, mixing with other people, maybe going shopping or going for a meal? Is that it?
Unfortunately for most, yes, that's probably that's it. We've talked about the other angle of the transsexual side. Yeah. But for many people, you do have to keep a balance between career, family, relationships, and this part of you. Yeah. Because you're not allowed to cross-fertilise them, and some people just simply live their life in compartments. So they're a tranny for one night a week, or once a month, once a year.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, in this day and age, it's easy for women, because easier, shall we say, in one way, because I could be a man, I can wear trousers, I can use my clothes to say I'm feeling this way, more masculine or more feminine today. So we're allowed to be more in between it. But you think this compartmentalising has to happen, do you think, in a tranny, or can you mix them as well?
There is a way of living your life in a kind of mixed state. And if you look at the clothes that you can and are allowed to wear to work, and you take them just a little bit more flamboyant, if you allow...
Pink ties in the city.
Yeah. if you take yourself to a point in your head where you're using some of the feminine along with some of the masculine, and accepting the fact that both parts are there, you can blend the two, not only in your clothing, but how you live your life, how you relate to other people.
People often have said to me about making this at all, but being a tranny is about being schizophrenic. You're neither woman nor man. How do you respond to that? Is that true, or...?
It's a case of keeping balance.
Yeah.
It's knowing, keeping in touch with reality.
Yeah, just making sure they blend. Well, I mean, you're a great example of, as you said at the beginning, an in-betweenie who you live primarily in between, don't you? Sort of blending the two. And your friend Paula, who we met earlier at Hot Hair, she compartmentalises, and you both seem very happy and content, much more so than me. And we three had the most brilliant shopping day the other day, and I know we've got a clip of that. Today we came in by taxi. I mean, how do you recommend that Chinese travel around initially?
I do recommend that people use taxis or minicabs, especially the minicab services that know the trannies are around and are nice to us.
Did it make you feel safer just to start with, just to go with?
Yeah, when you're first travelling around in a cab, you're as safe as houses.
Yeah. It sounds really expensive. Paul, how do you get around?
Hitchhiking in the G-string.
Apart from that, obviously, yes. Apart from on Saturday nights, how do you get around?
Public transport's okay. Like tube, I travel a lot by tube, bus occasionally.
How did you feel the first time you went on the tube?
First time I felt a bit nervous, a little bit tense, but it's amazing really. It's totally not threatening. People just don't notice. It's like hiding in plain sight really.
Why don't people notice? You know, there's a guy wearing a frock.
I think people aren't out spotting trannies. They've got other things to do. They're not thinking, is that a guy or is that a girl? And if you're confident like Paula is, and I think most importantly, dress appropriately for the time of day, the weather, the time of year. Dress appropriately, you can go anywhere.
So if you're dressed right and you look fine, you shouldn't have any problems, and you can.
Yeah, I'm sure, absolutely sure that if you do dress appropriately and you look the part, even though people will recognise you as a guy, there's no problem.
That's okay. Have you been anywhere where it's been kind of really quite important occasion?
Oh yeah, the most special thing that happened along these lines is that we went to Ascot. We went the day before Ladies' Day, and we had our meal around the limousine. We placed our bets. We had a little cruise around Ascot. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
When we ordered tickets for Ladies' Day next year in 1998, we had a phone call and they said, are you the group of transvestites that came to Ascot? We said yes. And they said, oh, thank God we found you, because we want to offer you a discount. We want to give you passes for the Royal Enclosure, and we want you to come and make yourself known to us when you get there, because we want to do some photographs with you. Evidently, a couple of years ago, they had some trashy trannies who were a bit embarrassing to Ascot, and they were a bit rude and trashy looking. Because we were dressed appropriately and they respected us, we respected them, they wanted to show with these photographs that they're not worried about people coming wearing, you know, the clothes of the opposite sex, but as long as it's respectful and appropriate for the occasion.
So the point is always to be respectful and wearing the right thing.
Definitely.
And be confident and don't worry about it, really, basically.
Yeah, and a big smile.
Big smile, always there. Okay, well, I want to smile because I want to go and buy a big, huge frock for next Saturday night, and you're all going to help me. What about you? What are we looking for you, Paula?
Shoes. Never have enough shoes.
This is Imelda Marcos.
Yeah, okay. And what kind of wardrobe have you got? Have you got a complete cross-section?
Yeah, the wardrobe's bursting pretty much, but I go a lot for kind of not sensational wear, but like more like day wear, just so that the appropriate stuff that fits in no matter where you go.
And you can do high street shops. You know, you get it in lots of different types of shops.
I think the key is to get in there, get in the shops, try everything on, and see what works for you.
But you don't have to go into sort of specialist tranny shops or anything. I mean, you can go anywhere. I know you won't want me to tell anyone, but that jacket I know is from Dorothy Perkins. You can use high street stuff as well. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think often it's a lot better and it's a lot cheaper.
Ah, yes, okay. What about you? What are we looking for you?
I think I'm looking for shoes as well. I always think that an outfit starts with the shoes.
Right.
Build it up from the ground up. Shoes are they set the fashion. If you've got out-of-date shoes, you look out of date.
Well, that's a good tip for me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, we're all going to go out and I'm going to be with two chicks with prigs in frocks. I'm not going to get into trouble. I'm not going to be arrested, am I?
Not unless you expose yourself and cause a breach of the peace.
Not today. Not today. I promise I won't. I mean, seriously, what is the law?
She's likely to.
No. What is the law?
The law is that we're not doing anything wrong. You know, we are only wearing clothes. But if someone takes offence to this and they start causing some kind of riot because we've embarrassed them or there's something going on, then we're causing possibly a breach of the peace. And if we're not causing a breach of the peace, then we might be the ones that are taken out of the situation by the police to quieten the thing down. But we're not doing anything wrong at all.
But you never normally have any trouble if we're dressed
Never ever
appropriately.
happened. Never happened to me.
No, never ever.
So can we go shopping now? No, don't like that one.
It's very plain and ordinary,
No,
isn't it? But that is...
Ooh, like that one. Ooh.
I think you should try that one. Let's have a
Okay.
look at it.
Okay, yes? You're going to do that? Oh, yes, I like that one.
I think you should try
I like that one.
What about this one?
Oh,
Look
yes.
at that.
Oh, yes, we like that. Oh,
That is-
yes.
Yes.
Definitely me.
Or in red.
No, no, I don't like red.
No?
Mm-mm.
Don't want to try that one?
No. I'll go and try these on. See you in a
About-
minute.
Well, what?
You hooked up.
I think
Get that
try
one.
those. Try those. Just wait till you see this.
Hey, Vicky, look.
That is absolutely fabulous. I'd love that to fit. Look at this jacket.
Oh my god. Okay, so if I was to wear this in a
Look at
tranny
that.
club, am I blending into the background or am I pizzazzing
You're
everyone?
underdressed.
I'm underdressed.
You're underdressed. I mean, like, when you're clubbing, there's the opportunity to wear anything. And just look in this shop. This shop has got the most extreme fashions. Where can you go and wear these fashions?
What about sort of partners and things? Can they kind of go looking like this? I mean, is it anyone comes whenever they like and does what they want?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, on the tranny scene, people have got girlfriends, partners, wives, and where they can join in and have fun. This is the opportunity for everybody to dress up.
Well, I'm having a great time. I want to try more
Yeah,
things.
isn't it
Give
great?
me some more things to put
Look
on.
at these. Now, that's the sort of
Okay.
typical, beautiful OTT dress that the girls just really love to wear on the night.
Too shy.
But trannies are not shy.
No.
They've only got the opportunity to go out every now and again, and they really, really want to go to town.
Okay, what else
I
have we
mean,
got?
Dorian,
Yes,
Birds
eat your
of a
heart
Feather,
out.
Eat Your Heart Out, Leopard Skin. This shop is absolutely, this is tranny
I've
Aladdin.
seen something I'm in love with over
Yeah,
there.
have a look, have a look.
Look at those. I don't think we go with this though. Vicky, what are your hopes for the future for trannies?
I feel that in this day and age, there are options for young people, options that they didn't have back in the 50s and the 60s, maybe even the 70s. There are positive gay role models, there are positive role models for women, for all sorts of ways of living your life. And I just hope that in the future, people can choose who they want to be, what they want to be. In this life, we all somewhere fit between Marilyn Monroe and Rambo. And one day we want to be Marilyn Monroe, another day we want to be Rambo. That depends whether you're a girl or a boy. We all want the best of both. And I just hope in the future, trannies have positive role models that the people around them can understand and that they can accept the tranny in their friend or their partner.